ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಯ್ತು. ಈಗ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಸಿ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಸಿ ಹಾಫ್ 20 ಮಿನಿಟ್ಸ್ ಸಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಇದು ಮಾಡಿ. ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಡೌಟ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೋಗ್ರಿ ಅಂತ. ಹಾಂ ಹಾಂ ಹಾಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ. ಹಾಂ ನೀವು ಕಳಿಸಿ ಆಗೋದು. ಹೌದು ನಿಮ್ದು ಬೇರೆ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಸರಿ ಸರಿ ನೀವು ಕಳಿಸಿ ಎಸ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಸರಿ ಈಗ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್. ಹ್ಞೂ ಸರ್ ಒಂದು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿ, ನಾನು ಜಿ ಬಿಟ್ಟಲ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ. So let us start the first program. Okay, now as we all know that how to do this, like we are in the start of the C programming language. Now let me share the base from basics to all those 2 weeks that we have covered over here. We'll share. Just give me a moment. Just give me a moment. We'll start in a while. Let me check whether these links are working fine with me. Start in a while. Yeah, it's audible, right? For everyone, yes. It's audible, right? For everyone, yes. Okay. Give me a moment. We'll start in a while. The basics. See, if you have in the class, if you have not understood, then you can go for today's tutorials where we will study for 20 minutes. Within 20 minutes, we'll try to finish it off. Okay, from basic to those versions, the questions that we have seen in the class and all. Questions that we have seen. Okay, so okay, 26 people are on board. So let us start this. So now as you all know, hash includes sudo.h and one more we study in the class, that is hash include standard lib.h. So these two are the header libraries that we have used, and also in the lab we have seen something called as hash include math.h. As we know, math.h is used for mathematical calculations like square root and all. Now the program starts with this int main. So int means this program is returning something. As we all know, the program is returning a return type of integer value. So we will write return 0 here. If you want to return some variable values, so instead of return 0, you will return that variable value. Okay. Now first we'll see what does print statement will do. Okay. You can see the output on the right hand side, and I'll edit the code over here. First I'll use printf, then double quotes, and here enter the values. Okay, if I write like this and if I run this code, you can see the output over here. Okay, the output it says is there is a miss in semicolon, so we'll put a semicolon over here. Now as you all know, what does semicolon means? Semicolon means that the line is terminated over here. For the compiler will think that the line is terminated over here. Now I'll run this. Yes, you can see enter the values. So whatever I have written in this, it is written. So now I'll add one more printf statement over here. Printf double quotes, and inside the double quotes we'll write hello, how are you? Okay, and terminate this with a semicolon. Now when we do this, I'm going to run this. If I run this, you can see it is coming on the same line. If you want this hello how are you to come in the next line, what you should do is you should insert here /n. Now I'll insert here /n. Okay, now if I insert /n and if I run this, you check the output how it looks like. It will look like enter the values, and on the next line we are getting hello how are you. Okay, now /n will tell the compiler that you should write the whatever values are there from the next line. So that is why we are getting in the next line. So this was about printf statement. So now let us see how you can add two numbers. Okay, imagine I want to add something like, I'll write over here, I'll comment it. I want to add 5 plus 3. Okay, and I want to print the result, that is 8 on the screen. How we will do that? Okay, now you should understand that 5 should be stored in one variable, 3 should be stored in another variable, and its result should be stored in another variable. So we will declare 3 variables over here. Since we know that the type of 5 is an integer, so we will define it as int, and I'll give it as a variable name, that is num1. Okay, then we know that we have one more number, that is num2, and we know that we have result also, so I'll name it as result. Done. So this is declaring the variable. Now I have declared the variable. Now I should put the values of num1 and num2 in it. So how to do it? Just use num1, that is num1 variable name, equal to the value. So what is the value of num1? They have given it as 5. So I'll write 5, put the semicolon, then num2 num2 is 3. Put the semicolon. Next step is to add those two. So how I'll do? Result equal to num1 plus num2 and semicolon closed. Okay. So now this was addition. Now I need to display the result. As you all know, to display the result we will use printf statement. So printf, open the round bracket, double quotes, the sum of two numbers is, okay. So if you want to display any value, you should first write the identifier. So what is the identifier over here? For integer type of value we use %d. So here we use %d, and here comma, what value you want to print? I want to print result, then semicolon closed. Now I'll run this. Yes, you can see the sum of two numbers is 8. Correct. So why I am getting on the same line? Because I have not inserted slash in over here. I am going to insert slash in now, and I'll give a space over here so that it looks good. Now I'll run this. You can see the sum of two numbers is 8. Yeah. Next step is we'll use the values called as floating point values like 5.0 or 3.2. We'll use this. So how to do it? So since these are floating point values, we need to declare the variable as float, float. Okay. Now we know that float num1 is of floating point value, num2 is of floating point value, and result will be of also floating point value. So num1 I'll make it as 5.0, num2 I'll make it as 3.2, and here printf statement I need to print now floating point value. So the sum of two numbers is, this will be the remaining the same, but instead of %d, since it is an floating point value, I need to write %f, and this will be the same. I'll run this. Yes, you can see these values are printed, right? Okay. Next, now imagine if the user wants to receive the value, user wants to give the value. So how your code will look like? So here we are manually giving the values in the code, right? I will comment this out, or I'll remove it so that you won't get any confusion. I'll print the statement something like enter the values of number 1 and number 2. Okay, enter the values of number 1 and number 2. Okay, so double quotes close, /n double quotes close. Okay, then semicolon closed. Now this line number 10 will display the printf statement like enter the values of number 1 and number 2. Now you need to receive those values from the user, correct? So how to receive it? So for that we have one more function called as scanf. When you use scanf, you can receive the values from the user. Now open the bracket, double quotes. Now in scanf, how many numbers we want to receive? We want to receive in our program 2 numbers. And what is the type of those 2 numbers? It is float. So for that sake we'll use %f once, okay, %f twice, because we have 2 numbers. Then comma, it should be stored in which variable? So for that sake we'll write and variable name, that is num1, again comma, and the second variable name, that is num2, close the semicolon. Now if the values of num1 and num2, if they were the type of integer values, Then instead of percentage f here, we would write percentage d, percentage d. Since these are type of floating point values, so we will write percentage f and percentage f. Fine. Now rest remains the same. Now we will run this and we will see. It is asking hello, enter the values, hello, how are you, enter the values of num1 and num2. So I'll enter first value as 10.2. I'll hit one, enter. Next it is asking for the second value, so I'll enter 20.2. I'll hit one, enter. Now it is giving us the sum of two numbers is 30.40002. Correct? So this was about how to take the input from the user. Correct? Now we'll study the conditional statements, that is if and else. Okay? I'll remove this quotes. Now, since we know that this is int main, we need to write return 0. If you don't want to write that int main and your program does not want to return anything, you can write something called as void main. And you can remove this lines of code. Okay. Now I'll print hello first. And if you want to get on the new line, I'll press /n. A moment. Yes. Now imagine if the user enters a value as 10. Okay. Your program should tell if the user inputs a value, two values a and b, and those values are 10 and 20. Number 1 number values are 10 and 20. The program should say that number 1 is greater than number 2, or it should say that number 2 is greater than number 1. Okay, let us see how to do it. First thing, I'll print hello. Next, I'll ask the user to input. Before that, I should input something called as values. So what are the values? I'll use integer. First I'll make it as num1 because user should input two values, right? So num2. So two values it's done, and those are type of integer. Now I'll tell the user to enter those two values. How to do it? Double quotes, enter the two values. Okay, double quotes close and /n to come to the new line. Semicolon. Okay. Next step is scanf. SCAN, scanf. So two numbers should be taken from the user. So turns out to be percentage d, percentage d. In this case, we are having percentage d because we are taking two numbers from the users and those are of type integer. Next, what is the variable name and num1, and second variable name and num2. Okay, semicolon closed. Next, I'll use if statement. So if, open the bracket, num1 is greater than num2, open the flower bracket. If number 1 is greater than number 2, then what I'll print is number 1 is greater than number 2. Okay. Now imagine if this is false, then what we'll use? else if statement we'll use. Else if, okay, else if number 2 is greater than number 1, what I'll print? Number 2 is greater than number 1 slash. Okay. Now let us run this code and check whether it's correct. Yeah, there are lot many errors. So first error is here, semicolon mistake. Now we'll see, we'll run this once again. There is an error in this 11 statement. So the mistake is here. The variable name was wrong. So it was num2, but it was by mistake it was written as mum2. So I'll run this. Yes, it is asking, the program is asking to enter the values. Okay, enter two values. So I'll enter first value as 20 and second value as 30. Yes, it is saying number 2 is greater than number 1. Okay, now I'll rerun it. I'll enter the value as 1 and second value as 0. I hit and enter. Yes, number 1 is greater than number 2. Fine. Now instead of number 1, if you want to mention the number that we have taken from the user, so you can use something called as percentage %d is greater than percentage %d, and which are those corresponding values we will mention here. That is comma num1 comma num2, and here again percentage %d, and instead of num1 we'll use percentage %d, and here we'll use comma num2 comma num1. So why first num2? Because this is number 2 is greater than number 1. So this percentage d is for this num2 and this percentage d is for this num2. So let us run and check whether there are any errors in this. Yes, no errors. So it is asking me to enter the two values. So first I'll enter 10 and second I'll enter 20. Let us see. Yes, it is saying 20 is greater than 10. I'll rerun it. Next I'll check here. 5 and 1. Let us run this. Yeah, it is telling 5 is greater than 1. Yes. So this was about if and else statements. If you have any doubt, you can comment in the comment section. I'll be happy to solve on this. So this was a short glimpse of the course of 2 weeks that we have studied in C programming language. So every week we will be conducting the same with this short 20 minutes video to have a glimpse of 1 week. So it will be a short video to get the core concepts that we have studied in the 2 weeks, or next it will be of 1 week. Okay. So we shall end this meet. Okay. Bye guys. Have a good day.